Chinese medicine, we believe there are 5 internal patterns that contribute to the decline of egg quality. Kidney essence, kidney yin and yang, qi and blood deficiency, and blood stasis. Kidney essence we call kidney jing, decline. In Chinese medicine, we believe you're born with a set amount of essence, okay? From our parents, we inherit this from our parents, kidney essence, which is stored in the kidneys. And it governs things like your fertility, our longevity, our physical health, our aging process, our hormonal functions. And think of it as I like to give the analogy of the oil in the lamp. So as we age, this also declines. Our Jing essence gradually gets less and less and used up, which mirrors the idea of declining ovarian reserve in Western medicine. Symptoms may include, and this is something that you can potentially listen carefully to see whether this applies to you if you are experiencing some of these signs and symptoms, okay? So if you have a depletion in kidney essence, you may experience things like tiredness, fatigue, lower back pain, thinning in the early onset of premature aging, like hair thinning, the greying of hair, decreased libido, early signs of aging, so reduced mental clarity, reduced physical strength. You may experience more a decline in muscle mass, have more things like inflammation around the joints, etc. The onset of osteoporosis, so losing bone density. I know it's a little bit depressing, isn't it? But there are ways that you can, from a Chinese perspective, to preserve that Jing, which I will be sharing later on. Kidney yin and yang balance. Kidney yin is, as I mentioned, is the cooling, the nourishing, the moistening, the hydrating aspects of our body's energy. So it supports things like healthy follicle growth and hormone balance. When it's low, you can see thinning of the uterine lining, hormonal dips like low estrogen, faint and short period cycles. And these often come with signs of dry skin, hot flashes, night sweats, hot palms, especially at night time, hot soles of the feet, light periods, insomnia. Kidney yang is the warming, activating side. It drives ovulation, reproductive vitality. And when this is low, egg cells may have reduced energy or slower cellular repair, and blood flow to the ovaries that can decrease. So symptoms may include feeling cold hands and feet, fatigue, low libido, poor circulation, weak digestion, bloatedness, a general feeling of heavy limbs because our spleen function is in disharmony. So our spleen doesn't just govern digestion, but it also plays a role in our muscle function and keeping qi upright and our organ intact and upright. Qi and blood deficiency. As digestion weakens with age, especially from the spleen, we absorb fewer nutrients to replenish our body, and then that leads to less nourishment for the eggs. The symptoms may include bloating, poor appetite, shortness of breath, pale complexion, light periods, general weakness. So this includes if you may have signs of dizziness. You may see floaters in your eyes because the liver opens up to the eyes. So floaters is like when you often stare into space, you may find like white specks floating in your vision. So that's what it means by having floaters. You may have as I mentioned, cold sensation that is better with heat. Blood stasis. Poor circulation can reduce the oxygen and nutrients reaching the ovaries, making eggs more vulnerable to chromosomal. The symptoms may include sharp menstrual pain, which is a classic sign of blood stasis. So pain that is stuck, stays in one place. Clots in menstrual blood, dark or purplish menstrual flow, and a sense of pressure or heaviness in the lower abdomen. Okay, so let me ask you. Does anybody have, if you're looking into the mirror right now, so you can assess yourself whether you have blood stasis or spleen deficiency. So if you look on the surface of your tongue, on the side of the tongue, if you have spleen deficiency, this will show up as tongue edema. So So the role of the spleen's function is to transform and transport food and fluid into energy that we can use for the body, right? So when there isn't enough warmth to turn this fluid into usable forms of energy, this stays in the body and collects as dampened phlegm, so it accumulates and shows up in the tongue. So if you have scalloped tongue, does anyone have a scalloped tongue? So like teeth knots on the side, this could be an indication that you have spleen deficiency. And another sign to look out for in blood stasis is that if you just curl your tongue up and you'll see thick curly sublingual veins about the size and thickness of spaghetti pasta. So if it's very dark and purpley, then that could be an indication, a sign of blood stasis, so your poor circulation.